South Africa's second investment summit underway in Johannesburg, environmental activists are demanding that only responsible investors be allowed to do business in the country. The activists have written to President Cyril Ramaphosa demanding that all investments meet these standards. For more on this, we're joined by Leanne Govindsamy. She is from the Center for Environmental Rights, and she joins us in studio this morning. Leanne, good morning to you. So you're calling on leaders to consider environmental and health impacts, in particular of extractive and pollutant industries. Immediately in mind, I have Eskom, which still operates on coal and is still building power stations that are going to be run on coal.
Look, what we're saying, and it's important to note that this is not just a statement from the Center for Environmental Rights, it's coming from activist groups in Mpumalanga who have agreed last week that it's really important for us to write this letter because they are most affected, particularly by the coal industry. And we're saying, in looking at future investments, we really need to steer away from coal-related infrastructure. And the reasons for this, I think, are quite apparent. President Ramaphosa himself at the UN Climate Summit has said that the cost of renewable energy has rapidly fallen, that South Africa is committed to meeting certain goals that are set out in the Paris Agreement. And he made a number of different commitments there. And so we're saying, in considering investments at this particular investment conference, it's really important that you have environmental considerations in mind. No longer is it the case that you have to sacrifice particular investment goals around economic growth and development for environmental and social issues that particularly affect people on the ground.
But you immediately then get into loggerheads with the Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe, who will ask you the question, what does he do with the coal in this country that we have in abundance?
I think already we have an acknowledgement that there must be a just transition or a move away from coal. We cannot possibly continue to rely on coal, both from an economic and an environmental perspective. The renewable energy sources have become so much cheaper and are so much more I would say, environmentally friendly in terms of the impacts that it could have on water, on air, that it makes sense, both from an economic and an environmental perspective, for us to move away from coal. The question is, how quickly can we do that? And this investment conference, it offers us that opportunity to invest in industries that are related to the renewable energy side of things. And that's what we're asking for. And it's really important that you link this back into the water crisis that we're currently facing, because most of our coal operations, the coal companies, operate in Mpumalanga. That's where you see the biggest impact on water. The Center for Environmental Rights released a report earlier this year that said 8 of the companies, coal companies that operate along the kind of Olifants and Volga catchment areas are not complying with their water use license conditions. This is, for a range of reasons, regulatory failures, companies taking advantage of the regulatory breakdown, etc. But when you look at that impact on water, and when you look at the people that are most affected and who've asked President Ramaphosa through this letter to take into consideration impacts on water and air in making these investments, it becomes quite clear that it's no longer sustainable for us to continue investing in coal and coal-related infrastructure.
The other problem, though, Leanne, is the issue of jobs. We all know in this country we have semi-skilled to low-skilled workers, and they depend largely on industries such as the coal mining industry. What do you do with those workers? Look,
there's a number of solutions to this that have been highlighted through documents that have been done by the Energy Resource Center, for example, that look at what does the just transition look at. It looks at reskilling workers. It looks at alternative industries, alternative jobs. You cannot possibly say that the very people that are employed in these kind of coal mining, coal operations do not have the right to a healthy environment and should suffer from the health impacts from both the mining and the burning of coal to such an extent that they are unable to live dignified lives. The people that have signed on to this letter have said, we have not seen jobs come to us in these communities. We have not seen a healthy environment. So there's no real kind of trade-off that you can speak of that is justifiable here. There are so many alternative industries that we could look at. We live in an incredibly kind of diverse and beautiful country that have so many different opportunities, and those are the opportunities we need to be exploring along tourism, renewable energy, etc., and how people can be able to own some of the kind of energy sources that we're looking at here. Groundwork, for example, that we have listed as one of the signatories to this letter, really advance and propose a just energy transition that is for everyone, that enables both a dignified livelihood as well as a way of life.
Leanne Govindsamy, thank you very much for making the time to come speak to us here. She is from the Centre for Environmental Rights.